2 Kings chapter 9. And Elisha the prophet called one of the sons of the prophets and said to him, Gird your loins and take this flask of oil in your hand and go to Ramoth Gilead. And you shall go there and look there for Jehu, son of Jehoshaphat, son of Nimshi, and go in and make him rise up from among his brothers and take him to an inner room. And take the flask of oil and pour it on his head and say, Thus said Yahuwah, I have anointed you sovereign over Israel. Then you shall open the door and flee, and do not wait. So the young man, the prophet, went to Ramoth Gilead, and came in and saw the commanders of the army sitting, and he said, I have a message for you, O commander. And Jehu said, For which one of us? And he said, For you, commander. And he rose up and went into the house, and he poured the oil on his head, and said to him, Thus said Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel, I have anointed you sovereign over the people of Yahuwah, over Israel. And you shall strike the house of Ahab, your master, and I shall avenge the blood of my servants, the prophets, and the blood of all the servants of Yahuwah at the hand of Isabel. And all the house of Ahab shall perish, and I shall cut off from Ahab all the males in Israel, both those shut up and those left at large. And I shall give up the house of Ahab like the house of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha, son of Ahiah. And the dogs were going to eat Isabel in the portion of Israel, with none to bury her. Then he opened the door and fled, and Jehu came out to the servants of his master, and one said to him, Is there peace? Why did this madman come to you? And he said to them, You know the man and his talk? And they said, A lie! Reveal it to us now. So he said, Thus and thus he spoke to me, saying, Thus said Yahuwah, I have anointed you sovereign over Israel. And they hurried, and each one took his garment and put it under him on the top of the steps. And they blew with the shofar, saying, Jehu reigns. Thus Jehu, son of Jehoshaphat, son of Nimshi, conspired against Joram. Now Joram had been guarding Ramoth Gilead, he and all Israel, against Hazael, sovereign of Aram. For sovereign Jehoram had returned to Israel to recover from the wounds with which the Arameans had stricken him when he fought with Hazael, sovereign of Aram. Jehu now said, If this is your desire, let no one leave or escape from the city to go and make it known in Israel. And Jehu rode in a chariot and went to Israel, for Joram was laid up there, and Ahaziah, sovereign of Yehuda, had come down to see Joram. And a watchman stood on the tower in Israel, and he saw the company of Jehu as he came, and said, I see a company of men. And Jehoram said, Get a horseman, and send him to meet him, and let him say, Is there peace? And the horseman went to meet him, and said, Thus said the sovereign, Is there peace? And Jehu said, What have you to do with peace? Turn around and follow me. And the watchman spoke, saying, The messenger went to them, but is not coming back. Then he sent out a second horseman, who came to them, and said, Thus said the sovereign, Is there peace? And Jehu answered, What have you to do with peace? Turn around and follow me. And the watchman spoke, saying, He went up to them, and is not coming back. And the driving is like the driving of Jehu, son of Nimshi, for he drives madly. Then Jehoram said, Hitch up. And his chariot was hitched up. And Jehoram, sovereign of Israel, and Ahaziah, sovereign of Yehuda, went out, each in his chariot. And they went out to meet Jehu, and met him on the portion of Naboth the Israelite. And it came to be, when Jehoram saw Jehu, that he said, Is there peace with you? Peace, Jehu. But he answered, What peace, as long as the whorings of your mother Isabel and her witchcraft are so many? Thereupon Jehoram turned his hands around and fled, and said to Ahaziah, Treachery, O Ahaziah! And Jehu drew his bow and struck Jehoram between his arms, and the arrow came out at his heart, and he sank down in his chariot. And Jehu said to Bidkar, his officer, Take him up and throw him into the portion of the field of Naboth the Israelite. Remember how you and I were riding together behind Ahab his father? And Yahuwah lifted up this pronouncement against him. Have I not seen the blood of Naboth and the blood of his sons last night? Declares Yahuwah. And I shall repay you in this portion, declares Yahuwah. And now, take up, throw him on the portion according to the word of Yahuwah. And Ahaziah, sovereign of Yehuda, saw this, and fled up the way to Beth Hagan. And Jehu pursued him and said, strike him too in the chariot at the ascent to Gur, which is by Yiblaam. And he fled to Megiddo and died there. Then his servants conveyed him in the chariot to Jerusalem and buried him in his burial place with his fathers in the city of David. And in the 11th year of Joram, son of Ahab, Ahaziah began to reign over Yehudah. And Jehu came to Yisrael, and Isabel heard of it, and she put paint on her eyes, and adorned her head, and looked through a window. And as Jehu came to the gate, she said, Is it peace, Zimri, killer of your master? And he lifted up his face to the window, and said, Who is with me? Who? And 2, 3 eunuchs looked down to him, and he said, Throw her down. And they threw her down, and some of her blood splattered on the wall and on the horses, and he trampled her underfoot. And he went in, and he ate and drank, and said, Go now, see to this cursed one, and bury her. For she was a sovereign's daughter. So they went to bury her, but all they found of her was the skull, and the feet, and the palms of her hands. And they came back and informed him, and he said, This is the word of Yahuwah, which he spoke by his servant Eliyahu, the Tishbite, saying, In the portion of Israel, dogs are going to eat the flesh of Isabel, and the corpse of Isabel shall be as dung on the surface of the field, in the portion of Israel, so that they do not say, This is Isabel.